The track is a mirror for egos. Everyone says they love the fight until someone makes them look human. That's what Toprak Razgatlioglu does. He makes talented men look like mortals, gasping in digital dust. The second he enters MotoGP, the balance of comfort collapses. Because he's not chasing finesse, he's hunting control. He doesn't pilot the bike, he breaks it in until it obeys. Fabio Quartararo feels it first. For years, he was the symbol of grace, a surgeon with throttle fingers, the golden proof that precision can outlive chaos. His whole identity rests on being the smooth one, the artist who paints lap time with elegance. Then comes Toprak, ugly, brutal, unapologetically mechanical. Where Fabio dances with the corner, Toprak kidnaps it. Every braking zone becomes a referendum on Fabio's ego. He has to decide whether to stay perfect and lose 2/10 or get dirty and meet Toprak in the flames. The world watches the gentleman's aura fracture. That's how Toprak hurts him, not with speed, but with shame. Fabio's whole myth was that chaos doesn't touch him. Toprak drags him straight into it and still exits faster. Pedro Acosta tries to grin through it. The rookie prodigy, the boy baptized in KTM violence, the one Liberty Media sells as the future. He's got talent so dense it bends headlines around it. But when the future meets the man who doesn't believe in limits, talent suddenly looks negotiable. Toprak doesn't speak the modern MotoGP dialect of electronics and tire preservation. He speaks the old dialect of survival. Acosta finds himself questioning every instinct. How can a man older, heavier, half from a different championship, arrive and make the same motorcycle behave better under duress? The myth of natural genius trembles. Acosta learns that there are two kinds of talent, one born from biology, the other carved from war. Toprak's is the latter. He doesn't think about balance, he feels the tarmac's heartbeat through his palms. Acosta realizes that's not learnable, it's inherited from pain. And then there's Jorge Martín, the fastest over one lap, the man who can rip the oxygen out of qualifying. His speed is religion, his confidence, a border wall. But Toprak doesn't play by Martín's calendar. He doesn't care about pole, he cares about humiliation measured in braking distance. Every time Martín lines up, his data says the corner belongs to him. Every time Toprak dives under, reality cancels the data. Honda watches Martín as its next savior for 2027, the man who could resurrect a dead empire. But Toprak's arrival poisons that fantasy. Because when the Japanese engineers see Martín fighting for air against a man on lesser machinery, the dream starts to rot. Honda's plan turns to dust, not because Martín isn't fast, but because Toprak exposes what fast means when you take away fear. No wind tunnel can simulate that. By mid-2026, the paddock has a new infection, doubt. Not in Toprak. He's busy making the impossible look procedural. Doubt in everyone else. Every corner he conquers with that violent artistry rewrites the invisible hierarchy. Riders start second-guessing their settings. Mechanics start whispering about rider input like it's witchcraft. Commentators call him reckless because they don't have vocabulary for freedom. When he slides into a corner that physics labeled suicidal and comes out with 2/10 gain, the cameras don't blink, they tremble. And somewhere, in the shadows of the factory Ducati pit, Marquez smiles like a ghost recognizing his reflection. The collapse doesn't announce itself with crashes or points. It begins in boardrooms. Toprak's performances start infecting the economics of faith. Sponsors want him because he's viral. Liberty Media loves him because chaos sells. But factories hate him because he proves money doesn't guarantee dominance. Equal-spec rules for 2027 loom over the horizon, and suddenly the paddock realizes what that truly means. When bikes are equal, riders become the lie detectors. That's where the slow decay starts. Fabio Quartararo's ego. He spent years defending Yamaha's philosophy. Smooth lines, patient corner speed, predictable flow. But when Toprak turns the same badge into a weapon that bleeds sparks and thunder, Fabio's elegance looks fragile. Every time Toprak outbreaks someone with that barbaric grace, the Yamaha garage erupts, not in celebration, but confusion. Who's the reference now? Fabio's data looks like art. Toprak's looks like crime. Yet one is faster, Fabio starts pushing harder, riding more angular, searching for Toprak's violence inside his polished craft. But that's like asking a violin to roar like a war drum. The harder he tries, the more unnatural it looks. The smoothness that once made him king becomes his prison. Pedro Acosta's doubt. He used to measure greatness in tenths. Toprak measures it in heart rate drops mid-slide. Acosta's KTM, or Pramac Yamaha if Liberty's trade winds shift, still screams at him about tire wear, about conserving grip. Then he watches Toprak destroy tires like confetti and still set purple sectors at lap 20. The rookie-to-legend story gets muddy. Talent, that shiny marketing word, starts looking like a child's toy next to Toprak's blunt trauma experience. The paddock that used to worship Acosta now asks questions they shouldn't. Is he fast because he's gifted or because he's never met real pain yet? The word humbled becomes a trending tag next to his name. Jorge Martin's nightmare. Honda, desperate for resurrection, has been whispering him sweet promises of freedom and budget. But Toprak destroys the timing. He rides like a storm, and every time he overtakes Martin's polished aggression, the investors watching Honda's presentations lose faith. Why bet on a man who looks human when another just rewrote gravity? By the end of 2026, Martin's escape plan smells of smoke. He's still fast. He always will be, but speed without myth is just statistics. Honda wanted resurrection. Toprak gave them revelation. He exposed the gap between quick and unforgettable. The collapse widens. Pecco Bagnaia, once the house favorite, becomes collateral damage in the chaos. Every factory meeting starts with the question no champion wants to hear. Why can't you make it to do what he does? Ducati's old logic, consistency, calm, data alignment, crumbles under the cult of raw dominance. Mark built that cult. Toprak expands it. By the final quarter of 2026, the grid looks like a battlefield of exposed nerves. The riders who need the bike to behave perfectly are finished. The riders who can make the bike behave violently are reborn. The Liberty media reformers love it. It's blood sport television. The factories hate it. It's accountability. Slow riders begin to vanish, not with drama, but with polite press releases, mutual separation, new opportunities, transition to testing. Everyone knows what that means. The age of patience has ended. The stopwatch is God again. And in the middle of this purge, Marquez returns from injury with the smile of a man who knows how to thrive in apocalypse. The 2027 grid will be nuclear. Equal machines, equal data, zero hiding places. Marquez and Toprak are the only two who look genuinely excited. The analysis strip away the slogans and the hashtags. This is what MotoGP will actually become. Liberty Media's rumored equal-spec reform within each factory means the safety nets burn. No more B-spec satellites with year-old frames to explain away mediocrity. No more hierarchy between the chosen one and the expendable three. Every rider becomes a public experiment in truth. And truth in this sport is vicious. When that happens, Toprak becomes the standard unit of courage. He exposes every false narrative. The bike's not ready, the setup's off. Edison, we're collecting data. He will take the same machinery, wrestle it, insult it, and still deliver laps that make telemetry blush. Factories will love the publicity and secretly hate the precedent. Quartararo's breaking point will come not in a crash, but in silence. The day Toprak drags a Yamaha, or a rebadged variant, past him on the inside of turn 1 while sliding sideways and not losing speed, the paddock will hear the sound of glass. That's Fabio's composure cracking. He built his empire on control. Toprak builds his on defiance. When defiance wins, control looks cowardly. Fabio's choice is brutal. Either reinvent himself as something raw or become a ghost of refinement in a violent age. Acosta's unraveling won't be immediate. He's too good for collapse. But he'll feel the tremor every time Toprak overtakes him in corners that analytics call impossible. The kid who made adults look slow will suddenly face a man who makes logic look outdated. Acosta will fight back, he always does, but now he's chasing something he can't simulate in data sessions. Instinct carved by scars. The fight will forge him or fracture him. If he survives it, he'll be unstoppable. If he doesn't, He'll learn what genius feels like when it meets something older and hungrier. Martin's Honda saga dies quietly, smothered by relevance. Toprak will make everyone forget the narrative Honda was scripting. Sponsors will want the man who breaks limits, not the one promising rebirth. Martin's camp will spin rumors about waiting for full project maturity, but the world will already be watching Toprak pull a mid-corner pass that physics forgot to approve. Honda will be back to rebuilding faith, while Toprak and Mark write the new commandments. And through it all stands Marquez, the eternal control variable. He watches the chaos not with fear, but nostalgia. He's been this chaos since 2013. The sport finally caught up to his personality. He doesn't need to prove nine-men supremacy. He needs to prove he still defines possibility. Toprak gives him that stage. Their duels will look biblical. Two men breaking 30 meters past sanity, one smiling, one snarling, both redefining what limit means in the era of equal machinery. The cameras will call it rivalry. History will call it revelation. By the time 2027 starts, MotoGP will be unrecognizable. No safety nets, no development year. You're either a creator of lap time or a curator of excuses. Toprak and Mark will be the two poles of this new gravity, one born from chaos, one sculpted by it. Quartararo, Acosta, Martín, Pecco will orbit them, each forced to confront the truth. The age of tidy genius is over. The age of raw defiance has begun. Factories will still spend billions chasing tenths, but every tenth will now belong to whoever has the courage to offend physics. Toprak does. Mark always has. Everyone else is negotiating. This isn't evolution, it's exorcism. MotoGP isn't becoming faster, it's becoming honest. And honesty on a track looks like a man who doesn't know how to slow down. When the lights go out in 2027, remember this: the storm didn't return. It never left. It just learned a new name.